Hi everyone, and welcome to another speed build. So today I'm making a gym in the Spice District of San Myshuno called Industrial Fitness, and I called it that because as you'll see once it starts taking shape, it's got a bit of an industrial flair to it. And before I started making it, I was thinking that I could make a factory that was converted into a gym, but it didn't really end up coming out like that because I don't think there's any factory that is shaped like this building is, but I see it more so as being a new building that was built to have kind of an industrial styling to it, and I really like how it turned out. And originally, I was going to make a gym in the Uptown District to replace the one that's there, and I talked about that in the last speed build that I made, and someone suggested in the comments that instead of building it there, that I build it here in the Spice District, which sounded like a really good idea to me because I actually wasn't really sure how well it was going to go trying to build a gym in that area, because if I wanted to fit in there, I would have had to make it in this kind of futuristic, high-end modern style, which is a style that I don't really do that well with. It just doesn't really come that easily to me, but more of an industrial modern style is definitely something that comes to me so much easier, so I actually had a pretty easy time making this build, so it actually took a lot less time to finish than I thought it would, especially the interior. I actually spent more time on the outside of this build than the inside of it, which is unusual because usually I spend like twice as long furnishing as I do building, but I think I furnished this whole place in about an hour or an hour and a half, which is unusually quick for me because usually I spend like 3 or 4 hours furnishing a build of this size. But yeah, I think something that helped with that is the fact that it's a gym, so you're just plopping down a bunch of larger objects that take up a good bit of the space, so there's a lot less figuring out what to put where. Oh, and here I was putting these L-shaped decorative things from Get Together in next to that one area that was just 2 floors of windows, so I was just sizing them up and then sticking them in so that they lined up with the edge of that, just because I felt like that area needed a little bit of extra flair, so I thought that might be something that helped out with it a bit. Unfortunately, I had to put the ones on the left side of the lot on the very last tile of the lot, so I couldn't put it on the concrete that I had because yeah, I wanted this lot to be partially above, like I didn't want it to be built right on the grass or right on the ground level. I wanted it to be raised up and then kind of have paved areas around the build that were raised up as well, but I ended up pulling them in some spots rather than keeping it just a large square around it, but I really like how that turned out. Oh, and the reason I decided to make a gym was because we did get that whole fitness stuff pack a couple weeks ago, so I just wanted to try putting some of the stuff that came with that to use, because while there's some stuff I didn't really like about that stuff pack, it did come with a lot of nice items, so I tried to use as much as I could from that in the gym, although there's some stuff I didn't use, like the windows that came with it, because I was gonna use them on the outside of the build, but I don't know, they just don't work super well on the outside of the build, or at least not the outside of this build, because for one thing, they don't really, like if you put them next to each other, they don't really match up. Like I think there's a little bit of space between, which isn't really what I wanted with this build. I wanted them to line up so we have that look of just a wall of windows, so they didn't work for that reason. Also, there's no, well, there is a single window, but it's taller than the double wide window, so yeah, that also makes it harder to use in fitness spaces. So I just stuck with the base game windows and the ones that came with City Living, which you see over on that one area that's just 2 floors of windows, and then yeah, I used those windows in some other spots, and then in some other spots than that I just use the base game ones in the light blue coloring that matches those. And then I was thinking about using those windows on the inside, but then I didn't end up doing that because they didn't really work out that well on the inside either. I don't know, they're cool looking windows, but I just find them kind of hard to use, unfortunately. And yeah, I think there's a few other things I didn't really use because they didn't really fit in with what I wanted in this build. I don't think I've really made a gym in The Sims before, so this pack was also a good excuse to do that. I did make a spa last year, but that's not really quite the same thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't made a gym before. I have been enjoying building community lots more recently, though, because for a while I just avoided building community lots because I wasn't really that good with them, because for a while I found that whenever I tried to make a community lot, it would just end up looking like a house. So because of that, there was a period of time where when I made community lots, I would just make converted homes that were turned into community lots because I just didn't even want to bother with trying to make a build that actually looks like it was supposed to be a community lot. But I think that's something I've definitely been improving on recently because I have been doing more community lots over the past I don't know if I'd say the past few months because I think I've only made like 3 over the past few months, but I guess that's more in that period of time than I did in the past. So yeah, I definitely feel like I've been getter. I feel like I've been getting better just making builds that actually look like they're intended to be community lots. Because I know when I made that spa last year, I tried to make a modern spa that, you know, looked community lot like, but then that didn't work. So then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna build a house that's converted into a spa. So yeah, it's always good to improve on things like that. Plus, a nice thing about making community lots is that I find that they can be a little bit more useful for gameplay because I mean houses are useful too because you can have your Sims live in them, but when you place a community lot, you can just have a bunch of different Sims visited and you can use in different save files and stuff like that. So I'll probably stick this in one of my Let's Plays. I'm thinking my City Living one or maybe my Sims 4 Season 2 one, or I don't know, maybe I'll just stick it in both because why not? I don't think there's any reason why I can't stick it in both of them. But if I'm going to put it in one, I'm leaning a little bit more towards my City Living one. So anyway, we're on the windows now, which I know I already just rambled a bunch about the windows, so I don't really have much to say about them, but yeah, I debated for a bit whether or not I should go with the same color that I had the windows on the other side and like this color here, or whether I should just make them the black that's just clear, but I ended up making them that City Living bluish green color in the end because I just realized that this build just needed a little bit more of a pop of color on the outside of it because it's all browns and blacks and just not very colorful. So those windows did at least add a little bit of a pop of color. So I think that was definitely a better choice to go with. The only thing that bothered me though, this is just a small thing, is that there isn't an option for those windows with the base game that have black edges on them. So it kind of bothered me a little bit that the framing around the smaller windows was white and the framing around the other larger ones was black, but I don't know. I just got over it because sometimes I get really wrapped up in details and I just sit there and worry over silly little things, and then eventually I'm just like, you know what, you don't need to worry about this. Just go with it. It doesn't really matter that much. Oh, and I also added some of the Spa Day logos around it because I did use some of the Spa Day stuff because it does fit in so well with gym. So along the outside of the gym, I use those areas to put in some of the different massaging items, and then there's also a little area on the outside of it that has those meditation stools. So all the Spa Day related things, or most of it, is on the outside of it, although inside there are a couple of rooms where your Sims can do yoga, but I don't know, I think it looks really nice to just have the massaging stuff on the outside of it. Here I'm putting in a little bit of green space because I once again felt like the outside of the build just needed a little bit more color to it other than the blacks and browns. So yeah, I just used this area in here to add a few plants in and some trees. And I was thinking about adding the low-lying flowers to that one area on top of those L-shaped things because I did put some fencing across them, but I don't know, I ended up not doing that because it just looked kind of weird. It just seemed like they were just floating there and there was no way that they would possibly be growing up there because it's like 2 floors up. So yeah, I ended up not doing that because it just looked really unnatural. But yeah, we've at least got this little bit of green space in here to hopefully help to brighten things up a little bit. And I think that's about it for that. So now we're just figuring out the rest of, I don't know if I'd really call the landscaping though, but you know, the rest of the outside of the build. So I was just sticking some of these lights in because I looked over at the Waterside Warble and I noticed that build had some of these around the outside of it. So I thought it might be good to do that on this build to kind of tie in with that a little bit. But I ended up putting a bit less in than what I originally planned because I don't know, it looked kind of weird when I had them all over the place. And then here I'm putting in some benches, and I think after I do that, that's really about it as far as the area, you know, like the ground level area around the build, because I didn't really do a whole lot there just because, I don't know, I feel like community lots don't really need a ton of landscaping. I actually find them a lot quicker to do the outside for sometimes, or at least, you know, to you know, like put in all the decorations and stuff on the outside, just because usually you don't need to go, because on homes I tend to just put in really lush gardens and it tends to take a while to put in all those plants. But yeah, this build was a bit quicker because I didn't really have to worry about all of that. And I really like how that little planter that came with Get Together looked next to those benches, because I was trying to use that weird circular plant, or not, circular stone stone with random plant material above it thing, but it just, I don't know, it just looked kind of weird. That was another item that I don't think I really used just because it's, I don't know, it's alright. It's not really that great of an item in my opinion. It's just kind of weird and random, I guess. I don't know if they meant it to be used in I don't think they meant it to be used in bathrooms. I think it was just meant to be a random decoration that you might use around the gym. But yeah, that was something that annoyed me a bit with this stuff pack because it was just, they had stuff like that. And I mean, I like plants, so I guess it was nice that they added a plant in, but I feel like they could have added a better plant in. And actually, I mean, instead of that, I would have rather seen just a decorative weight rack item. I don't know, that was just the main thing that bugged me with the stuff pack, is that I felt like there were some missed opportunities with it. Like, they really could have just added in stuff that actually made more sense for a gym rather than just a dining set, because I just don't get what a dining set has. I mean, I guess the lounge seat, the lounge chair, and the chairs were fine because that's stuff that you could actually put in gym, but to me, I felt like this pack should have mainly had things that either you would put in a gym or you would put in a home gym, not a dining room set, because that just has nothing to do with it. Or the bookshelf. I mean, the bookshelf is nice, but why? Why was there a bookshelf in a fitness stuff pack? But yeah, that was pretty much my main gripe with this whole stuff pack. Anyway, I'm working on this massage area outside here, and on second thought, I'm not really sure how relaxing this would actually be because you've got those like jail fences right there, so I don't know if getting a massage in an area that makes you feel like you're in a jail cell would really be that relaxing, but I don't know. Maybe, I guess the decorations kind of make it look a little bit more relaxing, but I just did that to try to go with a more industrial vibe I was going for, and I think it looks kind of cool, but maybe it doesn't make for the most relaxing area to get a massage in, but oh well. I mean, your Sims really aren't going to care about that, so I figure it's fine, but yeah, I was just trying to figure out how to arrange the furniture because I didn't really want to make things look too symmetrical in here, which was kind of what I was going for at first, but I guess it ended up looking alright in the end. We got that couch on the one side, which I guess makes it look a little bit less symmetrical, but then I was really symmetrical with the plants and the placement of the massage tables, and then over here is the little meditation area, so if they want to go do that, they can go over here into this space, which is very nice, and off to the side, off to the side just has a nice kind of private feel to it, but I think we're almost done with the outside. Yeah, I think that was the last thing, so we're about to move on to the inside of it after I get those rugs going into the building. So I did do the whole layout of the building on my own because it just took me a while to figure out everything, and there's a lot of messing around with the roofs and not so interesting things to watch because, as you'll see once I go up to the upper floor, there's a lot of areas that look down to the lower floor, and as you can also see, there's a bit of the roof popping through, which just drove me nuts, and I was thinking, okay, maybe I should just completely enclose the whole upper floor to get rid of that, but I really wanted to have those areas that look down to the lower levels. I just thought that was just a feature that I really wanted in this gym, and when I was thinking about how I wanted this place to look, that was just one of the first things I thought of, so I didn't want to not do that just because the game was being stupid and glitchy, so I just kind of dealt with it, so it's a little bit annoying, but yeah, I just left it in there because I thought it looked really cool. This gym did end up being a bit smaller than I thought it was going to be on the inside because before I started placing in the rock climbing walls and stuff like that, I was imagining that there would be all this space around the rock climbing walls to fit them in, but when I actually placed them, I realized that there just really isn't a whole lot of space on the inside of it, so yeah, I think originally this was where I put in the rock climbing walls, but then it just looked kind of awkward in that space, so I eventually moved them over to the one area that had the 2 floors of windows in it, which worked a lot better, so I just had it against the outer wall of that. And I just use the area where I have the rock climbing walls now as the area where the weightlifting machines are, and then the area upstairs that looks over where the rock climbing walls end up being placed is where the treadmills and the punching bags are, and then there's a room off to the side that a room that has an instructor mat in where the Sims can actually take yoga classes, and then there was another room that I put a TV in, so it could be like a room where they go and work out using the TV, which I don't know if that's really a useful thing to have in the gym, but I kind of imagine it as maybe a room where they would have a workout class like Zumba or something like that, but I just stuck the TV in there so it's actually functional, and then there's a little bar area at the back of it, and then upstairs there's another yoga classroom, but this one doesn't have an instructor mat, so it's actually somewhere where they can just go and practice aside from that, so like if there's a class going on, then they can just go up there and do some yoga instead. And there's also a basement with the locker rooms in it because there was just not enough room upstairs for that. So yeah, I had to make a basement to add those in, but we're working on the little entrance area right now, and I thought it'd be cool to have that waterfall item that came with spa day just going all the way up the wall, because I thought that would just be a really cool feature piece. I think it might be kind of cool if there was a gym that looked like this in real life, although this place would probably be a bit too cramped for an actual gym. Although, I'm not really that big in working on at gyms. I know some people, they can't focus on exercising unless they're at a gym, like they just have to be in that environment, but I'm actually kind of the opposite of that for some reason. Like, I have a harder time focusing when I'm at a gym, and I don't know if it's just because there's other people around, and it's not really that I worry about people judging me for how I work out or like judging my form or whatever, but it's just like, I think it's just having people around just makes it harder for me to focus. So I actually kind of prefer just working out at home and using workout videos. I've done a few of those Beachbody programs like Insanity and P90X, but recently I've been using this website that I found called Daily Burn, because I think for about $10 a month, you just get access to a bunch of workout videos. And I just like doing those because it's kind of like having a personal trainer, but a lot cheaper, just because, I mean, I could just, you know, like use weights on my own while listening to music or something like that, but I just like having someone to watch and, I don't know, getting instructions or whatever rather than just doing my own thing. I don't know, everyone has their preferences when it comes to exercise, and I feel like the most important thing is to just do what you enjoy, which I know it's kind of hard to enjoy exercising, but I mean, if you absolutely hate running and you dread running, then I don't know, maybe that's not really the best exercise to do, because I used to run a lot because I thought that was like the ideal workout to do, but I hated running, and I just dreaded it before I went on runs, so I'd end up like skipping it a lot because I just didn't want to do it. And whenever I would go to run, as soon as I started, I'd be like, okay, great, I'm going to be doing this exact motion for the next half hour. So much fun. Like, I don't know, I just didn't enjoy it. I mean, I guess it's kind of nice sometimes because you can just kind of think about things as you're running and zone out a little bit, but then at the same time, that's also kind of a problem to me because I feel like when you're doing steady state cardio like that, it's easy to just check out and not really try that hard. Like, you just kind of go at a slower pace and you just end up not really getting as getting as good of a workout. Like, I just like doing like shorter workouts and just that are really intense, so you just get a better workout in less time. But yeah, that's just my preference. But here I've pretty much finished the weightlifting area, and I tried doing this thing with those secret stone lights where I made them look kind of like a rock climbing wall going all the way up, but I ended up taking that out because I realized that in that space was a little bit too busy because all the weightlifting machines were a little bit cramped in. But I did do that thing in the entrance area around that one wall decoration that came with the stuff pack, as you probably saw, and then I ended up doing it in the one bar area a little later on. But yeah, I saw that they did that in, I think it was the trailer for the stuff pack, and I thought that was a kind of cool use for the lights, so I really wanted to try it out in this build. But now we moved on to the little bar area back here, because I don't know, I just thought it'd be nice to have an area where they could maybe go and get a snack or a drink after they've exercised, so I thought that would be a good use for the space. And the inside of this build really doesn't have a whole lot of color to it. There's a few pops of color here and there, but it's mostly greens and blues because with this place I really wanted to go for sort of an earthy color scheme with a lot of neutral colors because I just thought that really suited the style of the build. And also the items from this pack were supposed to have a nature brought in style to them, so I thought that doing that style would go along with those items really well, and also worked well with some of the spa day items too, because as you see I did use spa day items throughout this build a lot. But yeah, I'll make a more colorful build in the future to make up for this, because yeah, it's definitely not very colorful. But we're working on the yoga room now, so this is the one that is supposed to have the instructor mat in, but unfortunately it's not a very big room, so as I got started on it, I realized that it just really wasn't a lot of space for yoga mats, so unfortunately I could only fit 4 mats in there, and they're a little bit cramped, but you should at least be able to have a small class in there, so I don't know, it still works out pretty well. And yeah, we just got some of the spotty stuff around there, and I wanted to do something, I don't know, because I just wanted to cover up some of the flooring a little bit, so I was adding in these anti-fatigue mats or whatever, like workout mats that these are supposed to be in here to break that up a little bit, but I ended up getting rid of them just because I realized it looks so dark, and then I decided to just cover the whole wall mirrors because with the black wall at that end, it just looked kind of dark in here, so that was something to help brighten it up a little bit. But yeah, after a little bit, I just went back in and deleted those. But right now, we're working on that little TV workout room that I was talking about. This one, it was pretty quick to furnish. There really isn't a whole lot to it, but yeah, there we go. I went and got rid of those and just changed the colors of those to one so that it looked a little more uniform, like it was all just placed out there for a class. But I mean, I guess I would have also worked to have different colors, like the people working out brought their mats with them, but I think usually gyms have yoga mats you can use. I don't know, it's been a while since I actually went to a gym, because there was a period back in the beginning of college where I would go to a gym to work out regularly, but then I just kind of stopped doing that. And I think they had yoga mats, but then again, you probably wouldn't want to use yoga mats at the gym supplies, because I mean, who knows how much they clean those off. Like, they might just have sweat all over them from the last person that took a class. So yeah, I guess that's another reason why I'm not super into gyms, because you don't always know how well things are sanitized. Because I mean, you're supposed to wipe your sweat off the machines after you're using them, but come on, I mean, most people probably don't do that, so you're just, I don't know, getting other people's sweat all over you and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know, if you like working out at gyms, then I mean, that's cool, to each their own. But yeah, I don't know, I just prefer working out at home. Plus, it also saves a little bit of time because you don't have to get in your car to go somewhere to work out. So yeah, that's another benefit of it for me. But anyway, I'm just finishing up the whole punching bag and treadmill area, so we're just about done with that. And I actually redid the rest of the build because I didn't realize that my hard drive was filling up. So I lost the last little bit of footage where I was doing this room and the basement level, and I didn't want to just not have footage for the rest of the build, so I went back in, I deleted everything I put in, and then I redid it just so I could have the footage. And yeah, I was pretty frustrated by that, because I did check to see how much hard drive space I had before I went in to start on this, but I think I had like 3 gigabytes left, and for some reason I was like, oh yeah, 3 gigabytes is enough space for all the footage I'm gonna have for this, but nope, it was not. So yeah, I need to either get another external hard drive to put my old video files on, or get another hard drive to my computer, because I like to save the video files. I don't like deleting them, although I have been deleting them because I'm too lazy to just transfer the files over to a hard drive. Or I don't know, I was actually thinking about just buying another hard drive to stick in my computer rather than deleting or moving the videos over, because I don't know, it takes a while to move over a terabyte worth of data. So I was thinking about just opening up my computer and buying another hard drive and then sticking it in there, and then I don't know, when that one fills up, I'll just buy another hard drive and then stick the video files on there. But yeah, that's probably not the greatest solution to that issue. But I really need to figure out something to do about that, because it's been a problem for a while, because my videos are in 1080p and 60 frames per second. So usually for, say, a half-hour Let's Play, the video file will be about 10 or more gigabytes. So it just fills up really quickly. But anyway, we're working on the locker room now. So fortunately, since we now have the copy room tool, I just made one of the locker rooms, and then I copied it over to the other side and then just rearranged things a little bit and stuck it over there. So I was really glad that they added that feature in, because it's just so handy for this. Like, instead of making all of these individual shower rooms, I just made one and then copied them over. And then there's the rooms on the other side just have a sink and a toilet in them, so I just did the same thing with that and copied those over. So yeah, that's just such a handy tool, although I did use the glass doors going to those rooms just because I really like how they look. But I mean, realistically, they don't really offer a whole lot of privacy, but I try to make it a little bit better by putting the toilet across from the wall rather than the door. But I mean, realistically, that probably still wouldn't be very private, but oh well. But that is it for the speed build, so I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.